Hello, I'm Grumblebricks, otherwise known as Real Philip Carter, depends on what YouTube channel I'm on. Today I'm Grumblebricks, and I'm going to teach you how to build a 5 wide, tall as you like, piston door in Bedrock Edition. Because I wanted that to be a thing. I don't have eyebrows, well, let's just gloss over that. Okay, so this is the door. This is what the components are going to look like. We've made the front of the door transparent so it's easy for you to see the modules. So the door itself, this mechanism is modular. You build one of these, you whack one on top of it, you can build it as tall as you like. So here, for example, is my quite beefy version. That's what it looks like. I'll show you one in my survival world at the end of the video. I have built a completed one. And it feels a bit complicated, but I've color coded this version for you today. So I'll show you how this works. You flick the lever. You'll notice this array of pistons comes out first because it does use a triple piston extender, but because you want blocks attached to the slime blocks as well, it makes sense to have the free wide part of the door recessed and then blocks here. I think it looks good structurally anyway, but that's how you have to do it. And it will leave you with a 5 wide gap when you open it up. So if we just come around here, we'll see the basic mechanism is a triple piston extender that uses slime blocks. So what happens if I just put a lever here? By the way, this bit is just a circuit to show you how it works at the beginning of the video. You actually only need this thing here. So the space you need for it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks wide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks deep. And that is quite big. But if you think about what it does, you put one on either side of this, you probably build this in a mountain somewhere, and it'll just open up a whole hole in the mountain. Yeah, and you can make it as tall as you like. I've chosen to have this one 12 blocks tall. You can have them taller. I think 12 blocks is a good height to mix. Like 5 by 12 is a good door size. So that's how it looks in my castle in survival. So yeah, I'll show you how this works. The basic principles of it I'll explain first before I show you how to build it, because then you understand. I want to power that block there because eventually that piston's going to be over there. So how triple piston extenders work is you have a slime block, you power one piston, and now those two are up there. Power the next one, now those ones are up there. Power that one, and that one's up there. And what you could do is you can have blocks, and provided you unpower things at the right time, you've got a piston lift. So what I had to do is change that circuit so it was sideways basically, and then so I could place one directly on top of the other. So what you want to build is this structure here is just another one of these, and you build that on top of it as well because it helps you work out in the future, oh, I need to copy this pattern. So the first thing you do is you get around the back, well, you work out where the front of your door is, you place the pistons. Okay, so you think this is your floor here, and then you want your door to be in this space. Oh, I fell through the floor. See, it takes up that space. So what you want to do is you want to look carefully at where your floor is. You want to go 2 out of the entryway. You place a piston on the diagonal, and you place 2 more on top of that. Then you go behind these pistons, put an orange wool here. You don't have to do this with orange wool. You do have to use solids and glass when I use solids and glass. It doesn't have to be wool, obviously. I'm just doing it to make it easier to see. And I recommend getting a sheep farm and doing this kind of thing because it does make redstone look more cool. And it's a lot easier to fix in the future as well. So, you want this solid block, then a glass block behind that first piston, then a solid block. This is the very important block. You should probably make this a different colour. This is where we're going to drive the input. You have to do this on either side of the door. This is where the input goes. nowhere else. It has to be here. So solid block, and you come around this corner, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 solid blocks across here with a repeater on the end and some dust. Doesn't need to be any timings on the repeater. Now if we just hop back to here, you'll notice I've continued the pattern up there, and that's because when you build the door bigger, you can just tile it up. It's modular, you can make it as tall as you like. Well, actually you're limited by 14, but there are ways to get around that with sticky pistons and redstone blocks. Not too difficult. You'll just literally do something like this. Literally something like that, just to carry the signal up. It doesn't matter if part of the door opens slightly after another part of the door. That can't be helped if you make it massive. It's designed to deal with that. The sticky stuff isn't going to get stuck together because you notice it's tiled like that. It's all going to be fine. So where were we? We've got the 5 blocks here. We need to put a glass on the end of this. It doesn't physically have a use. The reason it's there is because when you eventually tile this up and make the door taller, you're going to have to continue the pattern. So having it being part of the pattern in the bottom helps you in the future. If you walk away with your friends for an hour, you get the resources, you come back and you think, right, I need to build another bit on the top. If that wasn't there, you might build the next bit without the glass and forget. So you need the glass there, and because you need the glass there, you should probably put the glass here, just to help you remember. This pink block, again, isn't necessary in the upper versions. It is like the lime green block, just for the bottom. And that is to carry the power. In higher parts, you want to have the glass. Okay, and then while we're at the back here, so just to recap, you count 2 across from the 5 wide door, 1 in, you got your 3 pistons stood up, 2 blocks here, a solid and a glass, solid block here, 5 yellow wool with a repeater on the end, solid wool with glass underneath, and then here, this shape. Now you can't have this filled in like this. You cannot do that because that will break the redstone higher up. Because when you repeat the pattern, you'll notice here, if I place redstone, it breaks that circuit, which actually isn't going to be a big problem there, but it would be a problem if we did it here and it just wouldn't work. So yeah, these need to be isolated, no support structure. So you can obviously build it like that, and then you have to get rid of that afterwards when you're building it in survival. That'll be easier. So you've built them, and then off these you want 2 purple lines. You want a purple line here and a purple line under here. Okay, so they just carry on like that. That's how they will look. And then from this top block, you want 2 repeaters. 1 repeater, when you place it down, it's gonna, you click it all the way, so that bit's at the back. The next one, don't do anything at all. And then here below, all the way, and then almost all the way. So you're 1 click away from the end like that. So you have that look like that. I'm just going to move this out of the way. So that will look like this. So when you're stood at this end of it, that's how it looks so far. And now you do the glass steppy up bit. So you have some glass on top of that repeater. You can shift click, which is when you hold shift to crouch, and then you place the glass like this. See? It doesn't affect the repeater. Funnily enough, I might be good at redstone now, but there was a time for about 3 years I didn't know how to shift click. So I used to think when you had to make auto furnaces, you had to place the hoppers first. I didn't think you could shift click on PS3 edition. I didn't think it was possible. I also thought stone bricks could only be got in strongholds. So yeah, that was a thing. That was a decision I made in my life. And I didn't know what comparators or redstone torches were. I used to use comparators to reverse signals. Anyway, I got carried away. We got this line, put glass on top of it, and a solid block next to it. Perfect. You're done. We don't need... oh, actually, we do need that, don't we? Yeah. So then you make this other zigzag, and this zigzag has to be 2 blocks above the previous zigzag. So try and place something above the redstone, and then a thing above that thing. And that is so when you build the next floor, it's easy for you to work out You just copy where everything else is oriented in relation to that. Okay, so you've made this solid block, you've placed the glass here, you've placed the glass here. Again, you can just click on top of the redstone, and you put redstone on the block, on the glass, on the glass, on that block, that block, that block, on that block. And then here we've got this solid block. And from here, we want to shift click, very carefully put a sticky piston there. The reason we shift click there isn't actually because we needed to, it just makes your movement a little bit slower, so it's easier to place stuff. This is very important now. This piston has to have a barrel in front of it. On Java Edition, you could replace it with a cauldron, but on Bedrock Edition, we can move barrels, much cheaper. I'm going to put any item of low value in there, such as an enchanting table, which I inexplicably have 63 of. And then the trick is with this, is that when this gets pushed out, it won't interfere with that, it will only interfere with the comparator. So now we go back down here again, and remember these redstone lines we made before? You want to put a solid block in front of this one, and a solid non-movable block, such as glazed terracotta in Bedrock Edition and Java Edition. But this is one of few blocks which is non-movable and solid in Bedrock Edition. In Java there's loads, but in Bedrock Edition it's pretty much just glazed terracotta and obsidian. And sometimes moss, but that will get broken, so we don't want to use moss. We want to use glazed terracotta. That goes in front of these repeaters. This solid block goes in front of those ones, and we want to make sure we've not clicked the repeaters the wrong way. So that's ticked all the way, that's almost ticked all the way, that's ticked all the way, that's not ticked at all. Okay. So we've got solid there, glazed terracotta there, and then another glazed terracotta here diagonally from that. And then you want a comparator facing into that glazed terracotta, and that will read the signal from the barrel when the barrel gets pushed over, which will power that block, which will power the final piston, you see. And now here, the last bit we want to do is you want to get the 3 pistons here. These 3 pistons need to start at this blue block that we placed earlier, which was at the end of the bottom purple repeater line. So, facing in to the inside of your doorway, 1, 2, 3. And these are pretty easy to work out because you just go 2 across from those ones before. Obviously you can't put solids underneath them because they'll slip and slide around. And now, depending on how you want to orient your door, you can either do a upside down L shape or the B shape. I'm going to do the B shape, and then on the other side you'd have to do the upside down L shape. Doesn't matter, just depends on what looks good for you. Literally doesn't make a difference. And then you get your pink glass. That's what we're using to demonstrate the door, and that's that done. And then you put your pink glass in front of these pistons, and that's that done. And then if I press this, everything works perfectly. I'm really pleased with that. I'll just check how long it's took me to record that video. That's only 13 minutes. That was quite a quick explanation of a complicated door, wasn't it? Shall I go through it again? So, you have your pistons here. You notice that these first layer of pistons push the outer layer of the door. Okay? And then diagonally behind them, not exactly diagonally behind them, but like you go 2 blocks into the left, another layer of 3 pistons. Then here, solid, glass, solid, glass, solid, glass. Okay? Back here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with a repeater on the end, solid with a glass underneath. Solid next to the glass, solid diagonal from that, solid diagonal from that. And then here, 2 rows of solids, and then a solid block here at the end of that, glazed terracotta there, and a glazed terracotta diagonally from that. We need to get the repeaters back again. I've done that wrong. I think that was like that, wasn't it? Yeah. So they look like this. And then up here we want a barrel, and that's why it's very important to be careful with the blocks, because that just about doesn't touch. And then here we need glass, above the repeater, glass above the redstone on that block, and then a solid leading into a sticky piston, and a barrel with one item in it of low value. More items if you feel like losing things in here. Then a comparator on top of that glazed terracotta we placed from earlier, going into there. And then your pistons, and then some slime, which I need to go and get again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slime, and then 5 glass on top of the slime, then another 3 glass here. We're going to have a 5 wide entrance. I think that works quite well. So now, how to build it up. Exactly the same again. You want to just do exactly the same thing. So, redstone like that. And you just copy it from before. You just do exactly the same thing. Oh, have I just noticed an error? Have I just made an error? After this video? I have, haven't I? Yes, I have. I'm so sorry about that. Oopsie. There is an error. Okay, we get rid of that. You move that piston back. You actually need the solid here. That's it. That's how you do it. I'm sorry about that. I really don't want to re-record this right now. It's like midnight and I don't have much time for YouTube these days. Please forgive me. I screwed up. You move that piston one to the right. That is how it looks. That's how it's supposed to look, like this from above. Okay? And that gives you more room for this circuit here, you see. So if I just like that, and then we've got to get the repeaters again. Perfect. And you get there like this. That goes there. You just copy it. You literally just copy it. You make sure everything's the same. And then this will power the next level up. Right, I think. Maybe. Yeah, the weird thing about it is that the barrel from one powers the one above, powers the one below it. So you have to build some extra circuitry to get this going again. So it's not too difficult. You just do this. Like that. See? And now we want to get honey. Honey needs to be on afterwards. Very important. And we'll get that shape. I actually need to switch this off first. Okay. That needs to be solid. And then here you see we need to have 2 solids. Might be important to colour code that. So that's the one where the comparator signal goes through. And then that's the one where the repeater signal goes through. So I should have 2 high now. There you go, perfect, look, it works. Not difficult. And then we'll set this one up as well. It would be wrong not to, wouldn't it? Dead easy. Look at that. Simple. Now you can build that in your base. And I actually really like the redstone being exposed. The temptation to build part of it out of glass in my base is immense. I just love this kind of redstone. So yeah, the reason we've got the barrel is because there's not really much else. There's not really much room for anything else. We could have had maybe a redstone block there, but then you have some issues with delay. Comparator doesn't have any delay, so you can make the door a little bit faster if you do it this way, but you could have a redstone block, a solid there, and then 2 repeaters. But yeah, that's not ideal, and it would have to be 2 repeaters. You can't afford any redstone dust. If you had a block here, you couldn't have any redstone dust on it because it would be powered by that, for example. See? And then you couldn't have any redstone dust there because that would power the pistons, and it just all goes crap. So it has to look like this. And then as you want to expand it, you just add more layers to it. And you can, I think, like, this is the maximum height you can make it without having to do silly stuff with pistons and redstone blocks. But yeah, that's how it looks, and I think it's pretty cool. And now I will do a product demonstration in a minute on my survival world, which is like 2 years old, so it'll be a real treat for you, I hope. Oh, I don't need to do that. I need to do a repeater. There you go. Okay, so I press this. Perfect. Now let's go see it in action in survival. This be my long-term stream world. I think you'll like it.